Hello and welcome to Web Development 101 with Alex Merced. On this show, we'll talk about all the basic concepts of web development in a way that anyone can understand, whether it's front-end web development, back-end web development, and full-stack web development. If you're new to web development, I recommend listening from episode 1 to understand all the concepts from beginning to end. You can also learn more about my own personal projects over there at alexmercedcoder.com. Thank you. Hey everybody, this is Alex Merced from alexmercedcoder.com, and you're listening to Web Development 101. And this week what I want to do is talk about the back end. So basically going on, we've kind of covered the front end and front end technologies for the most part. Now we're going to be moving on to sort of back-end concepts. So what are the technologies that allow you to build out your web application in the back end? So again, the front end is basically the stuff that the client sort of renders. So basically when you're doing JavaScript, HTML, CSS, the server is going to send over the HTML, CSS, JavaScript to be rendered at the client side, whether through their Chrome browser, through their Edge browser, or through whatever browser. Now, the back end is all the stuff that happens before you get to the client. So there might be a database that's being managed by your server and all sorts of operations that are going back and forth with that database. Whether it's creating an API for that database to be accessed by outside users or by the application itself, whether it is sort of dynamic rendering of the code you'll actually send your client. All sorts of things may happen on the actual server before the information gets sent via an HTTP request to the client, the person who's actually using your website. Now, the cool thing about that is that you don't have to worry about what browser technically they're using, because technically none of the back end stuff is actually being rendered by the end user's computer. It's all being rendered by the server. So all that really matters is that what the server ends up sending the client is actual HTML, CSS, and JavaScript or WebAssembly. But what language your server acts on, what database you use, none of it particularly matter as long as it gets what you need to get done so you can send out what you need to send out. So that's what makes the backend world so vast, because many programmers program in different languages, so they prefer to do stuff on the server in the language of their choice. So several different web frameworks for several different languages, and some languages have a lot of different frameworks in order to build websites. Now, me personally, my experience has mainly been in JavaScript and in Python, which I'll talk more about later on. But this kind of want to introduce you sort of what the back end is and why it's going to be such a vast topic. And again, sorry for all the sounds of Brooklyn. Hopefully after the next few months, I'll be doing some training. I'll be able to relocate out of Brooklyn. One can hope. But back to what I was saying. So the back end. So basically, this conversation will go across different types of database. So like MySQL, Mongo, etc. It'll Firebase. It'll go across different types of languages: JavaScript, Python, Ruby, C#, F#. And just kind of explaining what the role of these things are. But at the end of the day, again, it's all about just handling sort of the back end functions. And why does that matter is because now that's what makes things kind of have that sort of cloud effect. You know, once upon a time, again, computers weren't fast enough to have a lot of this stuff happening on the back end, so you had to store everything in cookies on your client's computer. So if they switched computers, their information wasn't necessarily portable like it is nowadays, because everything is being accessed at the server level. So, and then also this just opens up all sorts of new possibilities, because now you can create all sorts of new ways to create the resulting code through a lot of these frameworks. So that's this week's episode. Just wanted to introduce that so that way we set the stage for the next several weeks of episodes. I'll see you guys next week. Have a great day and enjoy.